Hello, this is Lisa Russick and Misty Lore with the podcast We're All Psychic. And this is a video podcast on Spotify. If I've never said it before at the beginning of a podcast, so maybe I'll remember from now on.
Yeah.
Today we have a really cool guest. His name is Wajid. Would you like to say hello?
Hey, Lisa. Hey, Misty. Great to be on your show.
Hello.
I'm so glad you're here. So listeners, he wrote me an email and said he would love to be a guest. So we'll have to ask you the question. Misty, you want to ask him?
Yes. Wajid, do you think we're all psychic?
Well, I went to the doctor the other day and I said to the doctor, I said, doctor, I think I'm psychic. And he said, well, when did you think you became psychic? I said, next Tuesday.
I knew I was going somewhere good. Yeah.
So I guess I must be psychic,
Yes, you are. The doctor
Everybody
didn't
is,
argue,
yeah.
did he?
Actually, there was a case of this midget who got arrested for being a fake psychic medium. And they put him in jail, but he escaped. So the headlines the next day said, small, medium, at large.
I heard it coming. Oh, I love that.
Okay, so my last one is what do you call an overweight psychic?
What?
What?
A fortune teller.
Fortune.
Fortune.
I love it. That's so good.
I've heard those of you, Lisa.
Best answer I've ever heard. Make them laugh and don't answer.
I know. I love it.
You're so great, Wajid. So, what do you think about psychic experiences? Have you had any happen to you or anything strange?
I've had more than enough psychic experiences, but what I want to tell your listeners is just based on my own research and my own experience. Psychic abilities are natural; they're not anything.
Yes.
And you know what? We've actually lost our psychic powers, our psychic abilities. We've actually regressed.
Yes.
Again, we were part of civilizations which were actually extremely advanced, and we've actually evolved. I remember in 1985, I had a chance to go to Pakistan. I'm originally from Pakistan, but I was raised in England since the age of 3.
Wow.
And then I moved to the States later on. But I was in Lahore, where I was born, and there's an ancient palace there called the Palace of Mirrors, and it was actually called the Palace of Mirrors because what happened over the centuries that actual palace was actually studded with emeralds and different kind of rubies and diamonds, and over the years people had pilfered the jewelry. Now, people talk about the pineal gland or the third eye. Now, I was looking at some of the paintings on the wall, and everybody in those paintings. Now, I don't know how old this palace was. Everybody had an open third eye. So at one time, we actually had the pineal gland was a physical eye.
Yeah.
It was a physical eye. We as a race, we're supposed to actually have 3 eyes, which forms that triangle. But we've lost it. We've lost that through our evolution, through our own negative karma. We've lost a lot of psychic abilities. So these days, people think, oh, psychic abilities, it's a gift. It's not a gift. It's a natural faculty of every man, woman, and child, and every man, woman, and child has, is psychic. It depends on development. It depends on, experiences from past lives of how psychic you are. I remember at 3 years old, when we moved from Pakistan to England, we were pretty poor. We didn't go by airplane or anything like that. We took a train and a bus, and it took like 5 weeks to get there. But I remember my brother telling me, and I don't remember, but they used to ask me, at certain train stations if the train was going to be on time or not, and I would predict exactly.
So they
when
knew. They knew
when the
you could do that. That's so
and
cool.
they they used to beat me up when I said the train was not going to be on time.
Oh.
And
Oh,
No wonder you learned.
and
Hardcore
but even then, I just had this awareness of of premonitions and whatever.
yeah.
And what I want to tell your listeners is never underestimate your premonitions. Never underestimate
Agree.
the intuition of that voice. And over the years, some of these experiences have actually saved my life. I remember once in London, I was working as a technician. I was about to cross this very busy intersection, and this voice in my head said brake. And I don't know why, but I braked, and at the same time, this truck went whizzing by. So, wow. I think psychic abilities are very important, because then you can open up not only your intuition, but also to psychic guides, the spirit guides, the people who've passed on. There's so many aspects of psychic abilities that are really needed at this time. I have a friend of mine. Him and his wife work as a couple. He's a psychic, and she draws the people who have passed away, and he connects with them, and they work as a team, and they help closure with people whose relatives have passed away.
That's great.
And yeah, so I mean, there's so many positive aspects of psychic development. There's some negative aspects of psychic development as well, but we have to just be aware and use our discretion.
Right. I have a question for you, Wajid. Going back to what you said, I'm very curious about it. You had said maybe one of the reasons we don't use these I like to refer to it as energy work overall. Psychic is just like kind of, everybody knows what that is. So I believe, like you said, we all do it. We all have it. We talk about it. Misty does too. We talk about that on the podcast, as you guess you know. So when you said like earlier, something that may have kept us or regressed us is our karma. So what I'm curious, what do you mean by that? Like,
well, I'm a follower of my own yogi master by the name of an Englishman by the name of Dr. George King, who in his own right was extremely psychic individual, and he was able to he was able to look at my aura and know my past, present, and even my future. He even looked at my aura once and told me what I was in my last life, which I already knew as a child, because I used to get visions of my last life. But it was so good for a yogi master to validate it. Now, he was able in deep meditation, as a lot of yogis in India and other places, Tibet, they can project in deep meditation from their body, in their astral body, and he was able to read, just like he could read my aura, he was able to read the aura of the planet, which of course, the aura, our Mother Earth is a living being. So he was able in deep meditation to read the aura of the planet, which people have referred to as the Akashic records.
Right.
And he could, you don't need any historians in deep meditation. It's like looking at a super computer, where a color fourth dimensional sequence of all the history of our race and our planet is laid. And so he outlined, where we came from, and some of the civilizations that we belong to, civilizations like Lemuria, Atlantis. Now, these, he said, fell under a nuclear war. So at one time, we were extremely civilized, extremely intelligent, scientifically and spiritually, and we had tremendous psychic powers. But because of our regression of, going into war and killing and maiming over the lives, we've actually regressed. We're in a very low evolutionary scale right now, and
very negative.
And so I think it's very important for your listeners to know that it's extremely important to develop your psychic powers, and to open up the chakras, and open up the higher senses and to draw that inspiration, draw that energy, which is so needed at this time, that's spiritual psychic energy, and send it out and help the world. So it's not something that needs to be feared. It's not something that's, again, it's a natural aspect of man, this psychic development.
And I feel everybody can relate with basic intuition, like you said, a moment where everybody has an example of that accident almost happening, I think.
Yes,
driving.
It's that inner voice.
You've ever been driving, it happens to a lot of people. They just, all of a sudden they're at the light and they're like, oh, I don't need to go yet. It turned green, but maybe, and then, stuff like that happens. Yeah. So that's something everyone can relate to on across the board if they're driving.
Yeah.
And we've heard that a lot. We've heard that one a lot. And most of the people who come on our podcast agree with what you're saying. I do too, that we have a long past and we've just destroyed ourselves over and over again, possibly, because greed, and low self-esteem breeds contempt and greed. And, and if people work with their energy or build their psychic abilities, they won't be, I feel, they find their value. That's the whole exploration that when you work through it, pursue it, activate it, really work on it. I mean, for me, I had to really dig in and look at all of in there, and accept it and change what I didn't like. Mm-hmm. And accept what I didn't like that I couldn't, and did you have experiences like that too, Wajid? When you're exploring these things, where you had to really dig in there and uncover some personal stuff and really work through it. And then you felt like you could, I guess you could say advance, but it's not really, it's more like you open up more senses,
Well, yeah, it gets kind of advanced though, isn't it? In a way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what my yogi master said, he said for people to develop their psychic abilities is to do pranayama or breathing exercises.
Yes.
Yoga breathing exercises. They actually charge the psychic sense. See, I mean, I'm preaching to the choir when I'm talking to you ladies, but
tell the listeners.
But what the listeners need to understand is that we are spiritual beings in physical bodies. Now, there's so much emphasis on the physical. You got to work out. But nobody's really working out the soul. Nobody's working out the real body that we inherit after. I mean, when we die, we leave the physical body. The physical body is just a tool that we use for maybe 70, 80 years, and then we discard it, and then we use our real body and we go to the other realms and we come back, and we just go through that cycle over and over again.
It's harder to reach into that spiritual part of yourself and feed it than it is doing the workout to your body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so much harder. That's why nobody wants to put the effort in.
It maybe if it wouldn't be so hard if it were normalized, if people were taught these things from an early age, we've talked about that a bunch, maybe it wouldn't be so, looking at ourselves wouldn't be so, really looking.
Yeah.
Well, like you ladies said, I mean, we're energy beings. We channel energy and we receive energy. And so another way of developing our psychic abilities is actually to send out energy, send out spiritual energy, which is so needed at this time.
Yes.
I mean, we're on the brink of World War III if people are not careful, with history repeating itself.
It sure is all over again. Yeah.
And so what we need to do is, again, not only go within with our breathing exercises, but also go, reach out and send out. And that's our natural aspect of man, is to not only receive energy, but transmit energy. We're natural transmitters and receivers of spiritual or psychic energy. And so what we need to do in these days is, in order to develop our psychic senses more, is to send out, the energy from the higher senses, from the heart center, from the palm of the hands. And as we do that, we'll develop naturally. In the past, in the East, there's some very dangerous exercises in yoga, but if you make a mistake, you could actually go crazy. So that's not the call of action today. In the age of Aquarius that we're in, the call of action is service, spiritual service to mankind, and helping raise the race. And as we raise the race, we ourselves advance. And I think that's the call of action today.
Yeah, it's called love. That's what it boils down to.
Divine love.
Put it out. Put the love out.
Yeah. And Wajid,
put it out.
Something you could really help the listeners out with is if you can give some examples or even just one of a way to give out that love to the world or to someone, energy out to someone. Can you give any example? Praying is an example, I think.
I mean, prayer is so misunderstood. But like you said, Misty, the energy of LOVE, that is the greatest force in the cosmos.
It is.
It has different octaves of vibration, but on the highest aspect, it transmutes war, transmutes hate, it transmutes all basic emotionalism, everything.
Yeah.
And so, I remember in the 70s, there was this oil embargo and they were talking about an energy crisis. And my master came forward. He said, there's only one energy crisis on this planet. He says, and that's a spiritual energy crisis. He says, if you fix that crisis, all crises between countries and even in your personal life will automatically be resolved.
People
and that's
work together.
And that's the thing. Yeah. That's the thing that people are not doing these days.
No, they're not. They don't trust anybody. Yeah,
they're bombing each other. There's hatred on the social media and all these energies, these basic energies of greed and avarice and pollution. It's basically we're not using the natural tools that are normal in us.
Yeah.
And we're too involved in the physical world. And it's time now to move away from the physical and get into the spiritual world, into the realms of higher dimensions of sending out love to the nature spirits, that control the weather, sending out love to wars. I mean, that is the call of action today is that spiritual energy crisis.
So for me, like when I'm sending out like love energy to someone or something, or like I've learned Reiki, so I can, do Reiki, but I'm sending love or energy or any kind of optimism or, hope and I try to, I'm a psychic advisor and I always try to help my clients do this, send the energy. I'll give them a lot of different examples. Like one I would give, say a client is you can tap into your heart chakra and just feel the person you're trying to help and feel their heart chakra and just pretend or imagine however it feels comfortable, green light going to theirs or just sharing or being like on top of each other, their hearts together and just pushing it in there, just imagery, imagining like the way you can do it and you'll feel it happening, listeners. If you do it, there's all kinds of ways to do it. And it's just everybody kind of has their own little unique way if once they get it, used to doing it, of sending it. Like you said, your hands can do a ton.
There's one practice I want to give your listeners, especially that's very valid in these days, which was actually given through my master by a very advanced master by the name of Aetherius. And that's the practice of the violet flame. And this was a practice that was actually used in Atlantean time 100,000 years ago, and it's been recently. It's a great form of protection against psychic, because there's of course the psychic interference. There's hate energy that can be thrown at you, jealousy, avarice, all that stuff. That's all energy. It's the same energy. It's just being warped by the mind. So, so if you're depressed or if you're fearful or anxious, all you have to do is just think down to our beautiful goddess, the Mother Earth, who is a living, breathing entity, and just ask of her violet flame, and it's like and you just like bring it up like throughout your whole house, like 30 feet up in the air, and it's a great cleanser. It's a purifier. It's a protection, and it feels like a velvety kind of soft flame, like a caressing kind of motherly flame. And that's a very important practice to use in these days.
I love that. I've never heard that before.
No, but you have, Lisa.
I have from Bunny. Before. Bunny was talking about, my friend Bunny would go into meditations and she'd see a purple flame with an eye in it. That's where I first thought about it. You're saying I have and I forgot, Misty?
No, you taught me that.
I did? The purple. Just the earth energy. Yes. Yeah, the earth energy.
Exactly. Yeah. That's where I get my energy now, is from Mother Earth. And you taught me how to do it.
Yeah, that's where I do mine too. That's like the best way, not just get it, but process it through me.
Feel
And
it.
yeah.
So on top of the violet flame, and then of course you can bring down the white light, the energy of love through, charge the brain, every cell of the brain, just see it tingling, see this, because the imagination is our only creative faculty. Everything that's around us is a result of somebody's imagination.
Exactly.
And it starts with that. And you visualize this energy going through your head, over your shoulders, into your heart center, through the palms of the hand. And what it is, ladies, it's so simple. It goes beyond people. People are looking for something complicated, and they want something, and the most natural things are the most simple things. And I don't, that's probably why mankind doesn't get it. But these are simple, very, very powerful practices, which I think are critical in these days if we're going to save the planet, because we have regressed to the point where if we're not careful, we may not be around for a while,
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. Couldn't have said it better.
Missy, I know you've got questions. I could pick your brain all day. You've got a lot of wisdom and knowledge, and I just love to hear everything you're saying. Missy, you go, because I won't stop.
Well, I won't stop either, but I just want to say, I love the way you put everything. I have never heard it put in those terms.
He's a writer.
I love it. Yeah, I can see that totally. I don't even have any words now because you have put it all in a nice, pretty little box.
It's not just pretty. It's like accurate and like
yes.
Well,
I can feel it. I don't know if you can feel it, but I can.
I felt it. Like you have this skill, Wajid. Yeah, and he tells us this. Yeah. When you tell us these things and the listeners, I think it'll translate through the podcast. You have some people I know can do this when they describe something. Other people can experience it just by how you describe it with your words, your voice, your energy. And when you describe the violet flame, I could I could envision it while you were saying it, and I felt that. And the velvety, when you said that, I was like, oh, I do feel a velvety.
In the house, protecting the house.
And I'm going to work on it a lot more, but that was just you saying it made me able to tap into that imagery. You have that really good skill there. That's really cool.
Do.
Yeah, I mean, if you're driving in the car, you can put the violet flame around your car. Any listeners that have children, you can put the violet flame around your children for protection. I mean, there's so many aspects to it, and it's given freely.
Yeah.
And coming back to healing and love energy, you see, there's no money in it. That's why people, on the outside, I mean, the medical field is slowly accepting spiritual healing. But Dr. King in 1975, long before Reiki or any of those, he came out with a book called You Too Can Heal. And he said, especially in England, they always talked about, healing is a gift, from God. And he dispelled that. He just said, no, every man, woman, and child has that inherent ability to give healing, even animals.
Yeah. No kidding.
A dog or a cat.
No kidding. They're the best.
They give healing naturally.
They are.
They don't even have to learn it. They just do it.
Yeah.
And so, that's going to be the medicine of the future. The cosmic beings that that channeled information through my master, they said the medicine of the future is going to be homeopathy, color healing, yoga, and spiritual healing. And those
one of my spirit guides I was doing a reading, and she told me about this. She said she told a client about this, that in the future, she said this was being about 15 years, I think, that there's going to be sound beds where we get in and there's vibrations, kind of like a tanning bed. That's how she described it. But you have certain vibrations and sound all through your body, just vibrating and resonating with things to heal you. Yeah. And she said that's going to be something people get treatments for. I don't know. She says a lot of stuff.
That's amazing.
That sound healing is for me personally, I like sound a lot. So music, change my mood, change my attitude, change
and your pain
heart.
Levels.
Yes, your pain levels, physical pain levels, and emotional.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of sound healing, of course, we talk about Tibetan mantra, the little cues, so chanting mantra, affects the energies in the aura and send it out. In fact, there's certain mantras my yoga master. If people are interested in some of the mantras that he had, they can go to his society website, which is aetherius.org, aetherius.org, and learn more about him. When you talk about spirit guides, I've been doing spiritual healing for many years now. I've had some very good results out of it. But one aspect of my psychic abilities that help me is that when I give healing to a patient, sometimes their spirit guide comes through, and so I just have to close my eyes. I see the spirit guide, and then they sometimes telepath to me what I need to do to the patient, what a particular area of the body I need to concentrate on, or how many passes I need to make in this particular area. And so many times I've had people where their spirit guide has come through while I'm giving them healing. And there was one particular person, and I described their spirit guide, and he was also psychic. He said, "Yeah, that's my spirit guide." I said, "I see this one particular entity here, and he's dressed like that, and whatever." And he said, "Yeah, that's my spirit guide." So cool. That's another aspect of using your psychic abilities, is not to is to use it in a positive way of maybe helping when you're doing like healing sessions and stuff like that.
And if we can heal like that, and we won't need all the money, because we won't need doctors as much, maybe.
Well, not only that, but we'll enrich our spirit.
The doctors' jobs will change, I think, into integrating
they're gonna have
stuff
to
over the years.
Although I haven't still figured out the lottery numbers, so I'm working on that.
Oh, I haven't either. I'm working on it too. I'm always working on that. I love it. I have beginner's luck. But I always lose at gambling, but I always win at scratch off tickets. And I did on my last trip. I won in Atlanta. I won another $25.
Did you?
Just a scratch off, and I always cash it.
I know.
But my guides will give me numbers. Yeah, my guides will give me numbers all day, and they're like, they're not going to work, but we'll give them to you.
Hey, speaking of psychic,
they laugh.
Speaking of psychic, I used to be in the technical field, and then my master, he predicted something that I didn't understand. It happened 7 years before it happened, and he said that. Again, he saw something that happened to me like 7 years before it actually happened, and he predicted that. So, I mean, these things happen. I mean, people.
Oh yeah.
And people have premonition. Women, they have better intuition than men. Women are generally psychic naturally.
And I think a lot of that's cultural. Yeah. We're told in our culture anyway, we're told to shut up and listen. So we do.
Yeah.
Well, women are the feminine negative polarity, not negative in the way negative, but the negative polarity of man, because man is female and male, and so the whole aspect of man is male and female, which later combines in our evolution. But women never. I mean,
they're softer.
In the middle ages, these ignorant religious leaders would burn witches at the stake, because these were women who had psychic abilities, they were healers, and they frightened these leaders.
Men. Yes.
Men.
Yes.
Yeah, and so they cursed them as witches and burned them, when really they were extremely.
They weren't the negative aspect. They were the positive aspect. Men were doing things to it.
Yeah.
But everybody's, when that was just like how, like, I don't know. I think somewhere along the line, and when people started rebuilding, like whoever was stronger won.
I've also
made the rules, somehow that evolved out of what we once may have been.
In my book, I've also predicted that in the future, women will be the rulers of this planet.
I think it'd be a lot better.
You know why? You know why?
Because we don't like to fight. We don't like war.
No. There's more behind that.
Okay.
What's actually happening right now is that we've reached a crossroads where our Mother Earth herself don't believe all this rubbish about climate change got to do with pollution. That's a small aspect.
It's just the cycle of the earth.
She is actually raising her vibrations at this time.
Yeah.
She's been asked to raise her vibrations spiritually, and over the years, over the centuries to come, as she raises her vibrations, it's going to empower women. And so women, especially many countries are classified as like servants, third-class citizens, under the tyranny of men. But women, I predict, will become custodians. They won't be political leaders of this planet. They will be custodians of the planet. And they will rule in a very compassionate, as protectors of Mother Earth and protectors of those that they rule under. So it won't be on a political sense, more like on an indigenous level. Where
that needs to happen.
That's what that is going to empower. Yeah.
A lot of the women I know, like Misty, and a lot of women who work with their energy or are psychic or mediums or healers or whatever they do, they're already putting their energy into the earth somehow and sharing with the earth and projecting it out. Like Misty was just talking about, we both have done that. Yeah. And then I've heard some of my friends who are very much more in tune than I am to like a global sense, which it seems like you have that. And Misty does too, like a global kind of sense of what's going on. But it feels like to me that sorry, he just totally distracted me. I had a point and he's like knocking my computer. He's like, give me attention.
Yes.
I had a point, listeners, but it went away.
It's all right. We were just talking about, women and having the ability to put the energy back.
Oh, yes. And I think everyone will but I mean, I think women already are a lot of the ones who are, helping the earth raise the vibration, or they're raising their vibration with the earth, and there are so many women I know. The women who have the global sense, they are like in touch with, they've told me things that they are predicting or they've seen in their visions or in their guides have told them about a time when women are nurturing on a like kind of like a sub level of hierarchy of like taking care of humanity and the planet and everything.
Motherly.
And like one of my friends put it like, I won't tell you all their secrets, but they have these interesting visions of how things are going to turn out, and it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah,
that's what they say.
Well, speaking of psychic abilities, most people who are reasonably intelligent realize that there's more different levels of existence. It's not just the physical. My master talked about 6 levels above us and 4 levels below us, and talking about psychic. I believe there's also a psychic spiritual war that's going on right now in these invisible realms between forces of darkness that want to keep control and the forces of light on the higher realms. So in the background, there's an invisible spiritual war that's going on. And it's important for us as normal human beings to help the forces of light, regardless of race, color, creed, or religion.
You are so right. I've seen it too. I've done it. I know.
She has.
Yeah, I know. But here's the thing, listeners. It doesn't matter the situation. Light will always win. The good will always prevail. It just will. If you know how to call upon it, you're going to beat the darkness.
Well, when I think about it, like you don't hear of too many people on their deathbed wishing that they had conquered more.
No,
they're just grateful for the love they had in their life, and they wish the loved ones were by them. And a lot of people, when they're passing away, if there were grudges in the family, people let them go and they forgive. And
they're ready to move on and let
love does prevail in the end, literally. The end of physical. It seems like that. A lot of people forgive the worst behavior when someone passes away. And to me, like abuse and horrible things that people do, and a lot of children, when their parents haven't been very loving and giving and caring, when their parents die, they do forgive them for the lack of love. I've watched it with friends anyway, and no matter how hard that person is inside from that, what may have been treated, it's like it melts them, and love is what's left. So I think that's like a really good point. Yeah,
it is a good point.
Well,
awesome.
I've learned. Like everybody else, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and
Yeah.
who hasn't? But the
Right.
thing is, so long as I'm trying, or so long as your listeners are trying to be better people, and one way of doing that, like you mentioned, is forgiveness and moving on, and then focusing on service. I
Yeah.
mean, what that's the biggest call of action today, is to
Yes.
get out of self, and then if you get into service, if you get into healing, if you get into sending out this energy out, you not only will advance much more quicker than you've ever done in the past, but also, it can also be a valuable service to every man, woman, and child on this
Yes.
planet, which is so needed, like you said, which is so needed at this time.
It is. It is. That is such a good note to end on.
So, Wajid, I would love to hear about your book,
Oh.
and where can listeners find your book and find out about you? I would love to do
the book is called The Struggle for World Sanity. And if you want
I
to
love that title.
I do too.
if you want to learn more about it, you can just go to my website. Actually, I was approached by a filmmaker here in North Carolina this year, and they want to actually do a documentary on the book. So there's a trailer. There's a trailer on the book on the website. But you can go to wajidauthor.com. That's WAJIDAUTHOR, wajidauthor.com, and see some other clips that's on the website. So
I will put that. I'll put that description, listeners, in the podcast description. And also, if you want, Wajid, I'll put your master's information. You had mentioned your yogi. I think that's who you said it was.
That's also on my website as well.
That's on your website too. Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, great. So I'm just so glad you came, Wajid. Thank you so much, and that you wrote me and wrote us, and that you wanted to be on the podcast. This has been really a great podcast, enlightening.
It has.
You're a great speaker.
I needed it. I'm
probably going to get your book.
good now. Yeah.
I want to read it because I like how you talk. So you probably write even better.
Yes, it was such a pleasure having you on.
Yes, thank you. And I'd also like to thank our sponsor, Everclear. Everclear is an advice app where you get advice from psychics and empaths, so you can get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve. And Misty, thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you again. And listeners, thank you. As always, we love you. And any last words, Wajid?
I think we owe it to the younger generation to leave a legacy for the younger generation, that they can inherit a planet instead of going into regression, is to develop our psychic abilities and send out the power. It's our responsibility as grown spiritual adults to do that.
You made a call to action for all of us. I love it. I'm doing it.
I believe that as well.
I do too. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, listeners. Have a great day, night, evening, afternoon, breakfast. Take care. Bye.
Bye.